Alright, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I've got for you guys today, a men's physique story that I thought was pretty interesting. So it was announced today by Tyler Mannion that the IFBB in the pro ranks of men's physique, they're going to be adding weight and height restrictions after this year's Mr. Olympia. So they said that the past couple of shows, the past couple of pro shows, they've been recording heights and weights of the guys competing, I guess to get some kind of gauge or marker or just kind of benchmark to see where these guys are weighing at different heights. And they're going to be implementing a weight and height restriction for the pro class. I don't know what they're doing about the amateurs yet. So I think it's important to add the context from the longer video explaining this on the NPC YouTube channel, where they explain that it's going to be, the weight limits are obviously going to be less than the weight limits in classic physique for the same height. I think they're going to use the same height increments, though, based on this video. And Tyler kind of says that the reason for this is to kind of control the size of the men's physique guys, because what we see a lot of times is people saying, wow, these men's physique guys look as big as the classic guys, or as big as bodybuilders in some cases. Especially in recent years, it seems like the men's physique class guys have gotten bigger and bigger. So I think on one hand, some people see this as a necessary change, and I've seen the reaction on the other hand being this is kind of unnecessary. And I'm curious to hear what you guys think in the comments below, because obviously a big topic of conversation lately has been around the classic physique weight restrictions. Are they too tight? Are they too restrictive? Are they impacting the quality of the competitors too much? Or are they necessary to maintain the integrity of the classic physique divisions, so that it doesn't become just bodybuilding light? So in that regard, I think a lot of people see this as a necessary change to men's physique to maintain the integrity of that division and really have a clear standard that differentiates that division from the other ones. So while I don't normally cover men's physique, I think this is a really big change to add these weight and height restrictions, and I think maybe it opens the door for the conversation about at least bumping up the weight restrictions, increasing the amount of weight that these guys are allowed to weigh in classic physique, because if they did that, it would further increase the gap between the two divisions and differentiate them even more between classic and men's physique, which I think are much closer than classic physique and men's open bodybuilding. I think men's physique and classic are the two where the lines were starting to get a little bit blurred, and I do think this is probably going to be a useful change, but I think maybe at the same time consideration for bumping up the weights in classic could be an open conversation here. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below about this upcoming change to the men's physique division, which will start, again, after the Olympia this year. Now, next up in the news, Hunter Labrada. We got what I thought was a pretty impressive physique update from Hunter as he prepares for both the Tampa Pro and the Texas Pro. He's closer to Tampa, 8 weeks out from that show, 10 weeks out from Texas. And in this update, he's 273 pounds. And I think he looks really good. To me, his midsection looks pretty tight here comparatively, even to how we saw him in Pittsburgh, certainly to how we saw him at the guest posing with Beef Stew, where he got a lot of criticism from that guest posing. I think Hunter looks really good here. And Hunter is a guy that I would really like to see some redemption for at the Olympia this year, even though he dropped to 7th place from 4th the previous year. I personally don't think Hunter is completely out of the conversation. I think now he's got a chip on his shoulder. He wants to improve. He wants to make a statement. He wants to show that he can do better. For me, really the main thing that I noticed was he wasn't as sharp as he was the year prior at the Olympia, and the midsection, to me, was really the big thing that I thought was distracting on his physique. But with Hunter, I mean, he was top 4 for a reason a couple years ago at the Olympia. He's a very complete bodybuilder, and I think just those couple flaws that he had can be fixed, and I think they can be turned around, and hopefully we're going to see a glimpse of that at Tampa and Texas. And I think those two shows are going to be two very competitive shows that I think we're going to see some pretty impressive lineups at, and some pretty impressive battles, really. So if Hunter's able to win either of those or both of those shows, I think it's going to be a big deal. For example, we heard that Andrew Jacked is potentially doing that Texas Pro. That's the show that I'm pretty sure he's doing, and we're going to get to see him and Hunter at that show. And I don't think that would be an easy win for Hunter Labrada against Andrew Jack. It'd be like a real test for him, so it'd be very impressive if he were able to pull that off for his Olympic qualification. Now, another guy that's preparing for the Tampa show and Chicago the week before, so I think at this point he'd be 7 weeks out from Chicago, 8 weeks out from Tampa, and that would be Justin Shier. I think some of the physique updates that we've seen from Justin so far looks like he could potentially be a very competitive pro. I believe that's going to be his pro debut. But he's a guy that's got a very good structure, kind of similar to Hunter Labrada, but maybe a little bit better V-taper. He's got a really good front double bicep, as you guys can see in this shot. He's also got another most muscular side chest. and you can kind of see his calves there. But it seems like we've had this conversation so many times over the past year or two about these up-and-coming guys that could potentially have a very fast start to their career and be kind of off the ground running. Justin Shier could easily be one of those guys. We haven't talked as much about him, but every bit of these physique updates looks extremely impressive to me. I think from the standpoint of his upper body, very impressive, looks pretty complete. His lower body, I think, is the one thing I'm going to be looking for on stage to see how well that really holds up against the other pros. It looks a little bit behind his upper body, especially in some of those front shots, because he does have such a wide front double bicep, a wide front relax. When he flares out his lats like that, I feel like he might need a little bit more size to his quad specifically. But we won't know for sure until we see him on stage. So that's going to be Chicago and Tampa, and that's definitely going to be something I'm excited to see. It's always exciting to see some new talent and hopefully do well. Now, next up in the news, another physique update from Samson Dauda, again showing off just how fast he seems to add on size in the offseason, how fast he seems to grow and improve. The first update that we got from him post-Arnold Classic, he said he was weighing like 313 pounds. And we thought that was impressive. And now he's weighing 325 pounds already, with a couple updates in between from 313 to 315 to 320. Now he's sitting at 325 without looking like he's really sacrificed any lines or conditioning in his physique. His shape doesn't really look off at all with that added size. And I believe at the Arnold Classic, he competed in the mid to high 290s on stage. So he's around 30 plus pounds here heavier than he was at the Arnold Classic. And I think he was around 320 at the Pittsburgh Pro guest posing. Maybe it was 321 exactly. Now, we saw him last year get as heavy as 336 in the offseason. So I'm going to be curious as we go into the Olympia, before he really gets into the midst of his Olympia prep, if he decides he's going to push it as far as he did last time around, or even further if we see a new max weight from Samson Dauda beyond 336. That's what I'm going to be interested to see, is if he pushes it to 340 or maybe even 345. I mean, in years past, when we were talking about Big Ramy being this big mass monster in Men's Open, we've seen him push it, at least they claimed, to like 355 to 360 pounds at his absolute mass monster peak when he was over there overseas. I think that era was specifically with the Oxygen Gym crew. But what's going to happen if we see a Samson Dauda that's maybe 5 to 10 pounds heavier than he was at the Arnold Classic on stage at the Olympia? What if he's competing at slightly over 300 pounds on stage at the Olympia? How much more dangerous does he become then if he has comparable or better conditioning with 3 to 5 pounds more muscle? That's going to be the interesting part about the Samson Dauda story, is he is not a small guy, but a lot of people appreciate, the flow and the lines and the aesthetics of his physique. Being at that weight, imagine him even bigger with still better conditioning. Because let's be realistic, a year ago, Samson Dauda was not a guy that people were talking about as a top 3 Olympian. Now a lot of people are talking about Samson as being a potential Mr. Olympia winner this year. So if there's one thing Samson Dauda has proved, it's that he can make rapid improvements, he can put on size rapidly, and he can probably do that again, a rapid transformation between his Arnold Classic package and his Olympia package. So that's what I'm excited to see. And we're already seeing that process begin with the fact that he's 325 pounds here already. Now, the final story that I've got for you guys today, just to kind of stay in line with the men's physique topic, Jeremy Buendia posting a pretty impressive physique update in the last couple of days. He also did a pretty impressive training video where he was training with Aaron Banks. So in this video, he looked really pretty big. I'm impressed with the size that Jeremy has put back on and then some over the past couple of years. And I wonder, though, if he put on all this size for no reason, because even though he won't be impacted by the weight restrictions this year at this year's Olympia, he'll still be able to weigh whatever he wants. So if he comes in bigger than he was before, it doesn't really matter this year. But going forward, he won't be able to compete beyond whatever these weight limits are. And honestly, when I saw this update, I was thinking he looks big for a men's physique guy. He looks bigger to me in this update than we saw him look back when he was winning titles. And I wonder if that's going to be competitive this year or not. And now with these new restrictions, is it kind of pointless for him to have put on all this size? Because the fact is, and you guys might have seen this with the training video with Aaron Banks, because Aaron's a pretty tall guy, Jeremy is a shorter men's physique guy, so the weight restrictions for him would be much harsher than on a guy like Aaron Banks. So the fact that he's looking so big here, even if the weight restrictions, even though they're not implemented this year, maybe the judges are clearly trying to send a message that size is not necessarily what they're looking for in men's physique, and that they really want to draw a hard line in the sand and make a distinction that men's physique is something different than classic physique and bodybuilding, and it seems like they're not rewarding this size as much. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below about all this men's physique stuff. What do you think about Hunter Labrada? What do you think about this recent update from Samson Dauda at 325 pounds? All that good stuff. That's going to wrap it up for the video, guys. I hope you did, in fact, enjoy it. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the video, click that bell notification icon if you have not already. And as always, I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at Nick Strength Power, my Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power, my secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel. And consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.